How to create a B2B content machine. Some of your skills as a B2B marketer will be in your ability to produce epic content. Now, let's not be shy about that. And it's borderline heartbreaking when your hard work goes to waste in producing that content. But sadly, that's typically the norm rather than the exception. Now, the problem stems from the fact that most content lacks a clearly defined strategy to maximize its potential and get it in front of people in a variety of different forms. The truth is that you owe it to yourself and your company to maximize every core piece of content, because if you don't, you're throwing away valuable opportunities to connect with customers and deliver solid value in the process. So this week on the show, we'll be saying no more. No more wastage, and from now on, delivering the greatest ROI for everything which you and your team produce. Now, to do that, you'll need a strategy and a roadmap, and that's exactly what we'll be covering and empowering you to create. With this strategy defined and in place, you will, as a result, free up more of your time in the process. Hello, good afternoon. My name's James Rostance, and this is the 414 live and exclusive to LinkedIn Live this Thursday afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us. And the show is, of course, for you if you're a professional B2B marketer, whether you work in-house at a company or if you work at a B2B agency, or indeed if you're a company executive who has a hands-on role in your company's sales and marketing endeavors. And each and every week, I speak with some of the greatest and most interesting minds in B2B marketing so that you can directly enhance and expand your professional knowledge to do even better things and to deliver even better results for your company with what you learn on the show. And this week's no exception because we'll be diving into the world of content and content strategy this week. Now, as ever, before we kick off the show fully, now is the time to give shout outs to people who are seriously taking their careers and professional knowledge seriously because they've subscribed to the 414. Right, joining us this week, so these are new friends to the show and new subscribers. They've subscribed on the414.net. New friends of the show, starting from this week, we've got John Baldock, Ruth Stevens, Russ Powell, Michael Moynihan, all the way from Boston, Rob Skinner, Alex Fletcher, John Ashley, Charles McAteer, Tim Boddy, Joe Norris, Iftikhar Khan, Bill Nelson, Steve Dennison, Christopher Swarup, also joining Mope Allo, Giles Wingate is new for the show, Katya Schwartzer, and Neil Williams. Thank you very much, you guys. Excellent. You're now officially part of the club and getting notifications each and every week when we do the show. So let's dive now into the world of content production. And joining me all the way from Novi Sad in Serbia, please welcome Mr. Nemanja Jovovic. Did I get the name right?
Thank you, James. Yeah, almost.
I really tried with this. Let me try one more time. Nemanja Jokovic.
Yes, that's it.
Thank you.
nailed
All right. You're a gentleman. So on the screen right now, we've got you on the right-hand side, and on the left there, we've got some beautiful footage which you sent in of. This is your hometown, right?
No, it's actually the city where I live in.
Right.
Called Novi Sad, and yeah, possibly it's for majority of people, it's the most beautiful city in Novi Sad and wider, but like the city where the IT industry is based and the multicultural center of the country.
Nice. It looks peaceful. Well, hey, thank you very much for joining us all the way from Novi Sad. There we go. So content strategy is your particular specialism, and we're going to be diving into this today. And for everyone watching, you're going to need a pen and paper handy with this, because we're also going to be calling up Nemanja's screen so he can talk you through his map that he likes to share. But I suppose a good place to start, as we do with all of this. So could you start by explaining, please, what happens to most content as you see it when B2B marketers produce it?
Like a lot of companies, especially in the B2B space, are still in the process, in the mindset which was happening like in 2012 with the HubSpot and everything else, and it is like creating content for the SEO, so for search engines, not for the for the people, and their websites are stuck with content that nobody reads. And from what I'm seeing, most of that content is actually good. Maybe just needs a little update or restructuring, but it's actually good, and nobody has seen it. So they just created it for the SEO. SEO is working, but now like their biggest potential customers are on social media, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube even, and they are not seeing the content. They are sharing something else, maybe some links. LinkedIn work that it's not giving you a reach if you share the link. So they are not distributing the content the right way, and it's stuck on the website. Like the company shares one time on their company profile. They might share it on Twitter, and that's it. So with that amount of sharing, like it's good if 40 people are seeing an article that it took you like a month to write. So that's just a waste of time and waste of the content.
So yes, I think I guess I touched upon that in the intro. Then in that case, so yeah. So you've got all of this wonderful work that people are producing, and well, not many people, not as many as they should, are seeing it. That's yeah, what I guess you're championing. So why is that, in your opinion, a problem, and what are the real world implications of that being continued to allowed to happen?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, we have this. You touched it a little bit with this. The problem that many B2B companies are streaming to perfection. And like when the company grows, when they have the management, they have the investors, they have many eyes on everything. And marketing, it's not something that a lot of people need to be involved in making decisions of. So then if they don't agree about everything, and usually they don't, because like you put 5 or 10 people in the room, they won't agree on everything, the content don't go out, or only one piece of content goes out. And in that case, they don't try out things. They don't see how people are reacting. They don't optimize based on that. They just assume. And that's how it goes. And another problem is when they actually have a piece of content, they don't know how to distribute it. So they just, okay, we're going to share it on social media and that's it. It's not how it works anymore. And we are not writing the same piece of content for the social media, for the Google, for the Google crawlers. It needs to be written differently for the social media, because we are using, let's say, LinkedIn because of the way we communicate over there. We use Instagram because of the way we communicate over there. The same goes for Facebook or for Twitter. And that's why we need to personalize and adjust the content where we are sharing it over there.
Does that happen more often than, I guess, anyone would normally think? The idea that a lot of content is just shelved before it sees the proverbial light of day?
Yeah, it happens. Really? It happens a lot. Spontaneity in something that B2B companies don't have. It's still something that they need to learn from the B2C companies. Like I don't know. I always use the example of like Netflix or Airbnb that are coming towards the customers, getting into conversations. You know, those kind of stuff. B2B companies are still like we are talking to them, not with them.
Yes. I love this as a topic thread in speaking with you guys, various experts in all this, because the mission to make B2B communications more personal does seem to be the biggest struggle industry-wide. And I guess it's kind of reassuring that it's definitely happening in content production. So what do you see as being the challenges which marketers face and come up against when which ultimately contributes to the status quo?
Well, the troubles are all the way. First of all, is that management doesn't understand what marketing does, and they don't understand that marketing is an engine that needs to be worked on and on and on and on. It's something that doesn't just like we turn it on and we turn it off. We don't do the same with sales or with other stuff. The second is we can now measure the effort that marketing is doing. We couldn't do it before. So when we started to measure it, the only thing that we could measure it is by leads. So the leadership said, okay, we are in B2B, sales cycles are very long, 6 to 9 months. So we need to see what marketing is doing. And because they cannot see other things, they can measure them on leads. And when they start measuring them on leads, then we need to get more and more leads. And then when there are more and more leads, they need more and more salespeople to call those leads. But those leads are not quality ones because we are going to the volume, not to the quality. And based on that, salespeople say, okay, these guys from marketing aren't doing anything again. And we are just losing our time calling those people that are not actually interested in what we have to sell. So the unsatisfaction is going on through the company. But what we can actually do, we can create a content machine with the right content targeting the right people. It will get us inbound leads, people who are actually interested in our services. First, we get the existing demand, go along with the market, but then we try to polarize people, like challenge the status quo, and then we got the new demand, and that's how it goes. Then when that happens, we get the people to the sales, only those that clicked the button, I want to buy. And in this situation, like you don't need 9 or 10 or 15 people in sales. You need only 2 that can close them because you only get the quality leads. And because that happens, guys from sales can actually go and do something else, do the outbound. Let's say marketing doesn't need to do sales. Sales can do the sales actually.
As it should be. Right. So to put a finer point on this, what you're getting at is that when marketing puts out, when marketing puts out safe pieces of content, ones that aren't very specific, what you're saying is that then results in not truly educating customers as they need to be, which results in low quality leads for sales. And that's when the complaints from sales come over to marketing. Have I got that correct?
Yes.
Right.
And by doing that, I actually mean that they are talking only about themselves, talking about the new features. The right way would be how would this feature affect my customer? Not like we have the new feature, go take a look at it. It's very nice. It's shaped very nice. It has this color, but it's like, what can it do for the customer?
Right. So what I'm picking up from this then in that case is that marketers are still talking about their product rather than the problem. Would that be a better, strategy?
Yeah, they are talking about all kind of things related to them, not about any single thing related to their customers. That's like everything is involved in that.
Nice. If you're watching right now and you happen to be in sales, and if this is resonating with you as a bugbear, it would be good to hear from you. But equally, are you in marketing and are you already on top of this? Or again, is this something that you've previously had feedback about? Or even better, you would like to, and this is what Nemanja is going to come up with, the solution to be able to deal with this. In fact, let me ask it succinctly in that case. What is the solution? What is the solution to the problem which you prescribe marketers should ultimately adopt?
Yeah, there is one thing, and it's a huge problem everywhere. I think I built the whole business based on it, and it's called don't overthink things. Because let's look at what we are doing before we creating the content. So we get the ICP, the target customers. We invest in research for the keywords. We invest in the problems, in the topics. We create the article. So, okay, now is the time for us to share the article. So what usually happens if we exclude just sharing the link? So we need to write some copy for the posts and to break it down in simpler parts. And we do the research again. We again research the ICP, we again research the tone of voice, we again research on the topics, and we just overlook the articles. So we leave them out. And we are basically doubling the same job. And the solution is just using what we have already written over there in the article and just using it, breaking it down into posts, adding a little bit of tone of voice depending on which channel we're going to distribute it, and go ahead with it. We need to post as more content as possible. We are sure that we have the quality when we actually created the article. So we then see what's working, what type of content is working, what are our audience resonating with, what is giving us the traffic to the website, what is giving us comments, engagement, and just then keep optimizing on that.
Right. So this, I guess, links back to your main point of that marketers are putting in a ton of effort in creating content to start with, but they're only really getting one usage out of it. But what I'm picking up from what you said just then, is that you're directing people to not so much reuse, but I would say perhaps more maximize every piece of content that's produced. Is that on the money?
Maximize and reuse. Yeah, both of them.
Perfect. Right. Okay. Good. Well, I'm dying for you to share the content map which you've shared with me previously. Should we do that now, or would you like to cover something before we get to the money shot, which is the content map?
Yeah, we can do it. I mean, basically, before we get into it, I just want to maybe give people a context. So. What we are doing and what actually you should do is when you start creating the strategy, come up with the main content pillars. In our case, and I will show you that, we have 4 of them, which is like 2 podcasts, webinars, and articles. And when you come up with that, one thing is you need to figure out the distribution, and then the other thing is you need to figure out how you're going to reuse them. So repurposing, or the popular expression is content syndication. So that's all that you need to know before you start. And besides that, you need to know which platforms are you going to use for distribution. So let's say LinkedIn is now okay because it has a huge organic reach. Twitter is okay also for some different pieces of content. Facebook is always good, especially the groups. You can use advertising to amplify the distribution of the content, and you can use, let's say, YouTube for video, like we are recording now for the podcast, and then audio platforms to distribute it further. But that's just kind of an overview, and I think we can go now into sharing the screen and like going step by step.
Let's do this. Before we do so, just to recap there. So you're saying you've got 4 pillars. Is that 4 key pieces of content? Is that what you mean when you say the 4 pillars?
Yeah, it's the long form content. So it's the long form article, the podcast, which can be, I don't know, from 30 minutes to an hour, or it's the webinar that lasts an hour.
Right. Okay. Cool. Good. I always like to be completely clear on what we're talking about. So your content production, marketing activities all stem from 4 core pieces of content, and from there we're now going to look at your map for bringing it to market and publishing and getting every last bit of juice from your content. Right. Okay. Let's do some technical wizardry right here. So if you do your screen share thing, I will. I'll call it up.
Let's do it. Okay.
There we go. Right. Do that and that. Kaboom. Right. You're on screen.
Sounds good. Okay. So
right.
I know that it might not be the clearest picture because that's how the Funalytics allowed us to see it. But let me try to explain it. You can follow my mouse. I will focus the things when I need to. But for starters, I just want to give you kind of an overview. Here in the middle are the 4 content pillars. I will go through each one of them now. On the right side is the distribution, and on the left side is the content syndication or repurposing. So let me just zoom it in. Okay, so let me talk about each piece of the content and why do we have it. So first one is B2b Weekly Podcast. That's actually the podcast that we are recording weekly live with another colleague of mine, and the purpose of it is just to create the content. We need quality content for our LinkedIn profiles, and that's why we are doing it. Besides that, we are using it. We are recording it live, so we're using it as a chance to kind of answer the question of the public and to get some traction if people got to the audio podcast platforms or the other ways when we are distributing it to kind of consume it and to binge the content. The other one is Funky Marketing Podcast. It's the same when it comes to the creation of the content, but here is where I'm having guests. And the purpose of it is to establish me as an authority. So I bring the people who are already authority in the industry. The third one are webinars and meetups. Basically, we have a topic around which we want to talk about, or we have the new product or the new service. We do the webinar and we then guide people through it. And the fourth one is actually the blog of our website. When we have articles, case studies, researchers, guest blogs, basically it's a text content. So let's see how we distribute each one of them.
Before we do so, I can just do a recap right here. So we've got the first thing you've got there is 2 separate podcasts, actually. And then you've got your webinars, and then you've got your blog posts. Those are the 4 things that that constitutes your core content.
Yes, exactly.
Cool. Right. So, please continue. Let's do this. So the right-hand side is
the right side is the distribution of the main content pillars. So we are using the original content. So an hour of the podcast, or more than 1,500 of text posts, words of text, those kind of things. So let's see, a B2b Weekly Podcast. How do we distribute it? We post the audio version on Anchor. Anchor then distributes it to all the podcast platforms, or the biggest one that we need. And we use the video to distribute it on YouTube. Why YouTube? Because YouTube is good for branding. YouTube is one of the platforms which is the best when it comes to branding. And here people can see the visual, actually the picture of the podcast. The second one, I'll explain further how we distribute it from the YouTube after I go with the second one. So the second one, we do the same. We go to the Anchor and to the YouTube. Then how do we actually post it to the social media? So we take the links from the YouTube, we take the link from the Anchor, we come up with the text, and we publish everything, you can see here, as a blog post on the website. Then we distribute it as a blog post. So we distribute it via email to our subscribers list. We distribute it on the LinkedIn. We distribute it on Facebook. We distribute it on Twitter. What then happens is what's actually the goal. We want people to contact us. Go to the contact us page, then schedule a meeting. Go to the Calendly, and they did do it. We end up with having an online meeting. So that's how we distribute one piece of audio podcast, let's say, or the video. I mean, the podcast.
Just to could I just clarify at the end there? So if you go to the end of those steps there, I just want to recap. So it goes from the blog post there. Can you zoom in a bit? That'd be cool. Just zoom in one step. Mm-hmm. So it's from the blog post, and then that post is spread across email, LinkedIn post, your Facebook pages, and Twitter. And across each of those 4 platforms, the purpose of that then is to drive them towards them requesting a consultation with you, right, on your contact page?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, right.
The goal of that piece of content, how we are distributing it, is for them to reach out to us and request a meeting. We have I didn't write this here. We have 30 minutes consulting, which is actually free. And we gave it away for people to kind of get to know each other, or we'll help them solve something, and that's how we start the relationship.
So I imagine as well then, so each of those different pieces of content on those 4 different platforms will have a clear call to action then for your consultation.
Yes,
perfect.
All of them are ending up with a clear call to action.
Nice. Okay, and then it's going to schedule the actual meeting, and then the final step then was actually having it with you. Okay, cool.
Yeah. It's actually the meeting.
Perfect. So each of these pieces of content then all are being produced with the purpose to.
Exactly. What's important is that we know why are we producing something. So it's important that we know even before we do it, because it will affect the way we are writing the articles. It will affect the way we are asking questions in the podcast, and everything that we do to create the main content pillars. So we need to create with distribution in mind.
Perfect. You encapsulated it all right there. You're how did you say it one more time? So you're creating with distribution in mind.
Yes.
Perfect. I can well see and appreciate that this is actually the missing step with a lot of content production, in that just producing it for the sake of producing it is only part of the journey. But what you're very clear on right here is that, and this is where the map comes in, is that when you're producing it, it's because you've got an end goal in mind and you're wanting to make sure that you ultimately drive them to your consultation, which is where you get to do your sales element.
Exactly.
Nice.
If you look at the third main pillar, I mean, it's basically the same because it's like video and audio. So we distribute it the same way. But what's different is the text pillar. So the blog post, articles, case studies, researches, guest blogging, we distribute them in a different way. So one way we do it is we create the newsletter. So we distribute them via email. We distribute it over to Twitter. We use LinkedIn, but not only like the company page, also the personal pages of the people who are involved in distribution of the content. We go to Facebook page, Facebook group, maybe even sometimes personal profiles. It all depends. We use Facebook ads, which is something a lot of people are not using, and also Instagram ads. Not to get leads, which is what people are actually doing most of the time. We are using it for distributing the content. We want people just to consume the content. How does it work? Is like we get to the 2 target groups. So it's usually the decision makers, and the other ones are the people who will actually use our services or buy our products. So we go from 2 angles, and we check who is consuming the ads on the channel level. We look at the time they are spending reading the articles on the website, and if they are actually reading it, then we just need to wait for them to come back and schedule a call. The timing here depends on how long does it takes for decision to be made in their company. So again, the goal is the same. They request contact, goes to the contact us page, schedule a meeting, go to the Calendly, then choose timing, and then the meeting happens. And
I've got to say, that concept you've got right there of using paid social advertising to drive and people to content which you've identified that they will like, I think that's a very powerful technique. I just wanted to really highlight that there. And in fact, Gamdan just jumped on. He says, brilliant visual explanation. Thank you, Gamdan. So this is going down well. Namanja, thank you very much.
Yes.
Nice.
I mean, what I want to say is that this is something that's happening in B2C. We just implemented in a bit different way in B2B. Just one of the things that we can use from B2C and take it into the B2B. So this left side is basically the distribution of the main content pillars. What's happening on the other side is the content syndication or repurposing. Let me just put it a little bit more. Okay. So let's go and take a look at, let's say, one piece of content. So it's like a podcast episode. How do we repurpose it and distribute it further?
For everyone watching or even listening right now, just as a side note, whilst we zoom in on the screen right here, we will make a point at the end of the show to let you get in contact with the manager so that you can get this guide. Would you call it a guide, or it's probably a map is more accurate, right?
Yeah, it's actually like a map.
Right. Either way, I will make sure you've got the manager's contact details so you can get in contact with him and get a copy of this because I think this will be a really valuable resource for you to digest more thoroughly. But yeah, over to you. Right. Okay. So we're now looking at the left-hand side of the map.
Yeah. Let's just look at generally. So when we create an hour of content. We have so many things over there that we can use. So we can use it in a different way. We can use it to create short videos. We can use it to create audiograms for the audio. We can use it to come up with with quotes or with some other things with social media posts if we do the transcript. So just to explain what we are doing here. We're using like the big pillar, the big piece of content and syndicating it into the pieces so we can communicate with different target groups at one time. During that 1 hour of recordings, we talk about the full buyer's journey. So when we distribute it into 5 to 8 smaller pieces of content, then we can, with the same episode, practically, we can talk to the people who are in the awareness phase, people who are ready to buy, or the people who know that they have a problem but don't know that we exist, actually. So I think that's important to say. And then when we go into the distribution, let's say this is an audio. So we create couple of pieces of content. Let's say here we have like 4. Each of them is like a separate now piece of content. We do it up to 10 minutes because that's the limit for LinkedIn. And then we distribute it we can distribute it on Facebook as a Facebook post. We can then, when it's on Facebook, we can even use the ads as we use it for people to consume it. We can post it natively on LinkedIn. We can use it and post it on IGTV, and then when it's over there, we can promote it through the ads on Instagram stories, and we can post it on Twitter. So the goal again of all of this is for them to contact us, schedule a 30 minutes consultation, and basically we talk about if we are fit or no, or we can help them solve the problems. And that's how it goes. So to move it a little bit down, I just explained this as an audio. It can be a video, as you can see here, but the process is the same. And what's different is when we have the text content, so blog posts, articles, case studies, researches, guest blogs. This is actually the thing that we just mentioned before we started going into the map, and it is like people overthink the content. They do the double job. So they already have the content. They just need to adjust it for the social media instead of writing the new one. So we use, let's say, a huge article and break it down into 10 to 15 different posts. Basically how we do it, I can just explain it. So we copy the text from the article inside the Google Doc. We go through it, we break it down into parts. Then we go back to it, to each part. We choose 1 sentence or 2 that will be like a headline. Headline is something that goes on the visual if we post it on the company page. And we sort out that we have the good intro and the good ending of the post. Why? Because first 2.5 or 3 sentences, let's say on LinkedIn, are the ones that are shown, and we need to get people's attention. So when we do that, when we have the post, we distribute it on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter. On Facebook, we can use even Facebook groups. They are very good for those kind of stuff. And then we go the same. We can go and create different Instagram ad stories. We can go with Facebook, and it ends the same way. Like the goal is always to get those that are the most educated and those that are the most interested in what we do to contact us and to get to a scheduled call.
Nice. You know what strikes me with all of this is that I think it's very easy as a marketer to go, oh yeah, I know that. Yes, yeah, I know that. But anytime that deadly phrase crops up, it almost certainly means that you're probably not doing it. So this is why I can well see that having a map like this to be able to work from will actually force you to make sure it's not done, because you've then got a point of reference and, well, accountability. Is that how you like to look at it, perhaps?
Yes, exactly. I mean, I can just share my experience with creating this map, and actually I wrote an article just explaining how do we do it. I even add a video when I'm going like focusing like this, because I saw the picture is unclear and people will ask questions. So that video and that article are the main pieces of content that we have created and where the most opportunities are coming from. Like we are even considering starting doing advertising for them, because this is exactly how we should do marketing as marketers, you know. So just showing the results, showing the process, explaining how everything goes. And basically, I mean, in our case, we are getting the new clients by doing the services that we are selling to them.
Right. Basically, there's a good expression for that. What is it? Well, I don't like the expression "drink your own Kool-Aid" because that's actually it's a misinterpreted quote from a mass death thing that happened in America, I think, in the 1970s. But the point is that good people practice what they preach. There we go. That's probably a much better adage to be used. Yeah. So you're practicing what you preach. You're educating on this particular process, and then if it truly resonates with someone, then this is the service that your company then goes on to provide. And I imagine that's by you having gone to the trouble to create this content and then getting it out there. Does this then result in high quality leads for you and your sales team?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not the only one. We created 2 articles. When there's another one where we are explaining how we're shortening the sales cycle and how we are using different stuff, like using personal profiles on LinkedIn to create engagement, relationships, and those kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. We are now like 40 months old company. We closed 38 clients. Out of which some of like companies with 700 people, some are the companies with 500 people, but there are some smaller startups that are getting even better when it comes to ARR than those 500 to 700 companies. And what's interesting is that people that understand that they need this are coming to us. So we don't go into, I need to convince somebody that they need my services and then reach out to me. No, we don't do that. People come to us when they're already educated and when they are ready for the service.
And what a beautiful way to go about your business. And this applies to certainly everyone watching. That I'm getting the takeaway from this is that if you go to the effort to thoroughly educate people with high quality content, and that's really, I think, central to your concept, right? That you're focusing on creating high quality content, and then from that ultimately comes nicely educated customers who are primed and ready to buy.
Exactly, as we were saying, like create the content marketing machine that will spark the growth. Like usually people do the opposite. People actually hire a sales team, and then they try to grow with sales team. Then they add the marketing team after a while. But sales is here to amplify the growth. It's not here to spark the growth. Marketing has a job to spark the growth.
Yes, I can well see how that would be well appreciated with by sales teams, with us marketers fully Nailing that. Hey, can I throw you a question briefly? This is from Gamdan, regular friend of the show. He says, here we go. I know that every business is different, but how much budget and effect should we allocate for content marketing in terms of a percentage?
Oh, that's it cannot get more general in asking than that. I mean, it's really a general thing. What I suggest to every company is instead of answering the percentage, like hire at least one people who will take care of the content. So somebody who will create those content pillars, somebody who will lead the podcast, and somebody who will write the articles. Then you can easily find an agency or a company or somebody else who can do the distribution. But make sure that you have all covered in the main pieces of content, that you control the process.
Right. Okay. That's a brave answer, I guess, in a way. But also, I imagine kind of reassuring. So this shouldn't be something necessarily that marketing manager takes on themselves and has another huge dollop of work to take. This is something that you should make real inroads to make sure that you've got someone to produce this as a dedicated role.
Yeah, I mean, if you know all the things that we mentioned, like your ICP, why you are creating something, what's the purpose. Let's say if you're doing the articles, you have the outlines, the keywords, everything. Then it's easy to find somebody who will fit in that and just write, for example.
Nice. So here we go. What would you say are some of the key mistakes to avoid in all of this, and what you would be very keen for marketers to avoid doing?
Well, that's an interesting question. There's always a lot of mistakes and a lot of stuff out there. But one of the main is they going after perfection that we mentioned over there. Like one thing that needs to happen, I hope in 2021, is that bigger companies, especially enterprises, need to lower their expectation for the content. By doing that, they will get the volume, and they will be able to see what's working, what doesn't work. It goes the same for the marketing agency. A lot of agencies just assume. So better go ahead, post a lot of different kind of content, and just see what's working, see what resonates with the audience, see what's working, and then you will know. You won't assume, and it will be easy for you to kind of narrow it down and invest more in those things that are actually giving you results.
No, not assume. I was just about to write that down. I think that's a solid guiding principle to have with regard to content production. I've just realised that we're nearly an hour into the show. We've gone nicely into depth and into detail in this, but very much deserved, because that content map really is golden, and I really, really hope everyone watching and with that listening will be able to appreciate what you stand to gain from all of this. Well, hey, with that said, so could I just put this to you then? So, what do you feel success looks like when this is well implemented and you get your content machine up and running nicely?
Yeah, that's a good question and the right question to ask. Actually, what's happening when you got everything running is that you are getting not MQLs, which means like people who are just interested in, I don't know, reading an article or an ebook or something like that, or just watching a webinar. You get the people who are actually interested in your services coming to you inbound. So you don't go to them, you don't do the outreach, you just do the content, right content, communicate the right way, and they're coming to you inbound. What that causes is that sales can actually close the bigger deals, and you get the revenue going. Like everything is aligned because everybody is doing their job. Sales then can do different stuff meaning they can do outbound, they can do something else. And when that happens also, you can easily see how marketing is contributing to the revenue or some other metrics that we are usually forgetting, like acquisition costs are going lower, sales cycle is getting shorter, and it makes us go faster as the company and be able to get to the bigger deals and actually extend some of the deals as well. Because like this is the thing that we don't often talk about and we often forget, that our content isn't here just to get us the new customers. It's here to continue to educate the existing ones and to get them to the next stage. So increasing the lifetime value is also one of the things that is maybe the biggest benefit of all.
That's a really good point, actually. And if I'm glad you made that. So just to recap, it's not just about creating content to capture new customers. It's to nurture relationships with existing ones. And I imagine then in that case, that would then also play an important role in keeping customers because goodness knows that there's, you're always up against competition. So one way of helping avoid, I guess, customer attrition then is what you're prescribing right here. Nice. Gamdan's liking this. He's just commented to say he's thanking you and saying that it's really made him think more about content marketing in a strategic way. So he gives you a big thank you for that. Thank you, Gamdan. Nice one.
Yeah, thank you. Because he's very right. Because when we start working with a lot of companies, usually what needs to be done is to analyze things, see what they have done, what has been good, what has been bad, and this is something that we are rooting for. But from their perspective, let's go and create the content and do the ads, and usually how it goes. And then like without you actually knowing what you are doing, an example, like the company has 10 leads per month. They're closing 3 of them. Like when we do the analysis, we can actually find out why those 3 are different, why they are closing them, how they are different from the others. And when we know that, it's easy to focus the content, the advertising, all the strategies towards those leads instead of going to 70% of the others that are not actually the ones which are converting.
That makes perfect sense. Nice. Wow. Now, I did promise everyone that they would be able to get in contact with you and learn more. I've got Camden's question on screen there. They'd be able to learn more about this map. What would be the best way for everyone watching and listening to do that? How can they get in contact with you to learn more about this?
Yeah, I mean, the best way is funkymarketing.net, our website, or just they can find me on LinkedIn or all the other social media platforms. Like, I think I'm everywhere. Just Perfect. A social guy.
Nice. That's really cool. Well, I suppose my last question with all of this has to be, someone who would like to take the next step with this and actually implement this as a plan, what would be their first steps in making all of this happen?
Yeah, I think the first step would be just Googling how to create B2b content machine. They will find the article that I wrote, and there is from the beginning to the end, they have it all. They can go implement it on their own, or if it's something that we can help them with, they can come to us and we can help them implement it. That's basically that.
Perfect.
I try to write that article so it's easy for everybody reading it to implement it on their own without needing us.
That's a beautiful way of doing things, but nice. And coming in just at the last second here, Kaushik, a regular friend of the show. Good afternoon, sir. He says, thank you, Nemanja, as well. He's really enjoyed it and found it very informative as well. Perfect. Well, Nemanja, thank you ever so much for joining me this afternoon, all the way from Serbia, which is pretty darn cool, I think. So yes, Nemanja, thank you so much for joining me on the show today.
Thank you for inviting me. I really enjoy sharing some of the things we are doing and discussing them with you.
Legend. Right. I will see you soon, sir. Thank you so much. And if you've enjoyed watching, then yes, please do. Web address on screen. The414.net is where you can subscribe to the show so that from now on you will not miss a further episode. And if you've loved it that much, you can go and check out all our previous episodes because they're all on there. You can subscribe by email first and foremost, as well as then being able to get the podcast come up on your mobile phone because it's in video and in audio form. Right. Well, this has been the 414 every week where I speak with some of the greatest and most interesting minds in B2B marketing so that you can directly expand and enhance your knowledge with every single episode. I very much hope today has delivered on that once again. And in the meantime, I will see you here same time next week.